I have been working on a pant muslin as review week continues for the mini series Let's Sew Easy Pants. I have a free pattern to share with you today with lovely results. Sneak peek. Very practical video as always, so keep watching. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, and this is a special time frame where I am revealing you completed pants that fit me as best as I can get them as review week in the Let's Sew Easy Pants mini series that I have been running on the channel. I have 6 episodes that tackle all the theory and all that stuff. Everything from choosing fabrics to patterns I recommend, to how to measure yourself, how to measure a pattern, how to make adjustments in all sorts of areas of pants, the rise, the inseam, the shape of those curves, to scoop or not to scoop, your calf, your tummy, all sorts of things. And yesterday I showed you the iron pants that are hanging right there behind me. I've made those in a linen blend. Lovely pants, great results with those. I am super happy with those. And today I have a free pattern to share with you. This pattern is free from Peppermint magazine. Recently they released a loungewear set. Now I look at it, okay, I see that it says loungewear there, but I just try to forget that it says loungewear and I just try to look at the liner and what the pattern actually is, because I don't have like an interest in making loungewear in linen fabric as such. So this is called Loungewear Set. It has a top and a pair of pants included in the set. You can download this pattern for free, just typing in your email address, and they do have a link there if you want to click through and donate $2 through their PayPal as a way to contribute to the magazine, but it is voluntary if you want to do that. I think contributing to Australian dollars for a free pattern is great. I just did it, you know, just a couple of clicks and you're done. And I look at this pattern just for the pants. Actually, I'm looking at the top and I see it's very boxy. It's just not a style that I think would suit me. I have similar styles with a dome and sleeve that have darts that I know fit me better. And so I'm just looking at the pants. On the website, you will find a lot of nice pictures there. As you can see, it's made out of linen. I can see on the person modeling this loungewear set that the waist actually does seem to reach her natural waist there. They look very loose, very comfortable. The hem doesn't reach full length. It is described as 7/8. And there are deep front pockets with a curved opening. I like those. Those ones back there have the slash opening. This one is a curve. The curved ones tend to gape less than the slash pockets, although if you did stabilize the entrance of the slash pockets and the hips are fitting you properly, they shouldn't gape. Mine don't gape, those ones. Anyway, the curved ones seem to fit a lot of people better than the slash pocket entrance. Now, these are extremely easy to sew because they don't have waistbands separately to the pants. It's just extended like an integrated casing, so you'll see that the rise looks longer, and that's because it's meant to be folded under, sewn around, and that is the casing for your elastic. So super easy to sew. The pattern recommends an elastic that is 3 to 4 centimeters wide. That's anywhere from 1¼ inch to 1½ inch elastic. My elastic is 1¼ inch, so that is what I'm using. And you do need to keep that in mind, the width of your elastic, because it depends on that how much you're going to be folding on at the top, you know, folding under. So it is important that you know what elastic you're using. I will be folding under that amount, leave it folded to be able to measure my pattern. Like pretending the waistband is there, but this one doesn't have a waistband, you know, it's just part of the total length there that is folded under. So it does need to be folded under for you to be able to measure. Now, this pattern doesn't come in the traditional sizes in numbers. It comes from A to K. So the size chart is only in metric. This pattern is a collaboration from an Australian pattern brand called Common Stitch. They have collaborated with Peppermint magazine to provide this pattern for free. Common Stitch do have their own website where they sell their own patterns, and you know, it's just metric, there's no inches here. So if you look at the size chart, just take whatever centimeters you have there, if you like imperial, and just divide it by 2.54. Just try to remember that. I remember that because I went to primary school in metric first, And then when I lived in the States, I had to switch to imperial. And I learned all those conversions from ounces to kilos to like all that stuff. I have them up here. You can see the largest measurements for the largest size, which is size K, are there on the screen in imperial and in metric. Now, the size here for these pants is very, very generous in the ease department. You know, they are meant to be loungewear type garments. And, you know, take that into account because there's a lot of ease here. I'm showing you the body measurements chart. I have highlighted my body measurements for exactly in the middle between the F and the G. So that is where my body is. You know, if I choose exactly that size or choose the lower or the higher size, I will end up with very, very loose pants. And do I want very, very loose pants? Am I going to be lounging around in woven pants? No, I want pants that are going to fit me snugly. I have mentioned before that I like to have about 2, maximum 3 inches of positive ease at the hips on pants of any style, you know, fitted, slim leg, wide leg, whatever. I just like that look. I don't want to make the size recommended for my measurements here. So let's look at the finished garment measurements that I'm putting on the screen. And you can see that in size E, which is a size lower, 1.5 sizes lower than me actually, I will have a finished waist of 115 centimeters. So before the elastic. And I did make a muslin, of course, in this size E. So this is my blue fabric again. You can see I have folded under, you know, to create that casing. And I left an opening there where I put my elastic through. I already took the elastic out, but this finished width right here at the waist, it says on the pattern that it's 115 centimeters. And this is just enough to pull up over my hips. So I'm very happy I can choose that size. They give you a size there, finished hip measurement, but it says low hip. I don't really know what that means. It's not like a terminology that I am accustomed to seeing. I am used to seeing measurements of the full hip being given because it's a measurement that most of us know what it is in relation to our body. So this pattern doesn't have layers. When you print out the pattern, you can see all the sizes there, all the lines. I just made sure to do some flat measurements to check that at the full hip of the pattern, you know, which is my full hip, at least from the top here down, is about 8 inches there. And I measured across the pattern there in the front and the back, discounting seam allowances to see what the finished hip was at the full hip. Not at the like low hip, like down there. I don't really mind. I don't really think that's a measurement that I have much use for. So I did figure out that with the size E, I was going to have a more fitted look with about 1.5 to 2 inches of positive ease at the hips, at the full hip. And I was very, very confident and happy to cut out a size E, which is a size lower than F. And I'm in between F and G, so I did size down. Yesterday, to show you my iron pants, I put here a diagram showing you the fitting adjustments I made. I'm going to do the same one with this one, and you will see that they are very different adjustments. It is a different pattern. And I'll scoot over. You can see I've got the front and the back there together. There is a dashed line on the top. That's to signify what is folded under, you know, this, because it's the casing. So from the dashed line below is where I measured the length of the front and the back crotch for the pants and compared it to my body. And you know, these were going to be very, very low for me, very low waisted, like low rise. I'm pretty sure it's not the intended fit because the person modeling the pants, they seem to fit her at her natural waist. But you know, these pants that are pretty straight up and down, you can choose where you want them to hit. You know, my philosophy around that. So I did measure and compare, and I had to add 1 inch to the front. All the way across, you can see that it crosses from side seams to the center front. On both the front and the back, I added 1 inch there. But for the back, I needed 1.5 inches. So you can see the further area in the red there where I have cut slashed up to the seam line, spread apart, added 0.5 inch, and that totals the amount of length I need at the back, which is 1.5 inches. The side seams will match. I have added 1 inch to both the front and the back, and then I added a further half an inch, but only at the center back. This is very similar to what I did to Arden pants, it's just in different amounts, but the concept is the same. Now I did another further adjustment to the curves. So with the Arden pants, I didn't need to touch the shape of the curves. They seem to fit my bottom and my front curves okay. In this case, I knew from the get-go that the curve at the back looked really scooped, like really scooped. And I did make a muslin. I could tell that there was a lot of tightness right at the lower end of this area. And that just meant that it was made for a bottom that had a little bit less volume than what my bottom has. So you can see on the green line there that I made the curve shallower. Now the amount is smack between the quarter and the half an inch. What is that in imperial? I don't know, but in metric, it's 7 millimeters. So that is the amount. I just brought it up and just made that curve a little bit more shallow, just to give me a little bit more space there, and that seemed to fix my fitting issue on the back. Very simple adjustment. I was able to do it on the muslin. And at the front, look at that curve on the front. I knew right away when I saw the shape here, I thought, wow, this curve is really shallow. It looks even almost flat. Very different to the shape that I have sewn with other patterns. And when you've been sewing lots of pants and you start figuring out the shapes by eyeballing, you will know what patterns are going to suit you better and what you will have to do to adapt others. I knew that this curve at the front, I needed to scoop it in. So I did that on my muslin as well, and the amount I scooped in was sort of the same that I did to the back. The back I didn't scoop it in, I made it shallower. This one I brought the curve in by the same, smack between the quarter and the half an inch, 7 millimeters. I don't know what that is in imperial. So, you know, very minor adjustments on the curves. I did need to do them for this pant. But after doing that, I was very happy with the fit. This is a very different style. The legs are very wide. With wide leg pants, you will find that you have less fitting issues on the back, less issues with wrinkles or your thighs or your calves. You know, those types of issues don't seem to appear when you have wide leg pants. And I like wide leg pants. I like all types of pants. But I like these, and I really wanted to try this pattern. Down below you can see that I have added a lot of length. This pattern is described as hitting 7/8. My understanding is that 7/8 is sort of above the ankle sort of length. I made my muslin exactly the length of the pattern, knowing that they were going to be very short on me. My son is very used to this. I go to his room in my muslin with my tape measure in my hand, and he knows straight away. He grabs the tape measure, he gets on the floor, and he measures from the edge of where the muslin is hitting, and he measures all the way to the floor. So he knows to do that. He's a very good boy. And he told me exactly the amount I needed to add so that these pants would be full length. I wanted full length pants. I didn't want 7/8 pants. I needed to add 8 inches, and that is only including a half an inch hem allowance. So I added it in 2 areas. There is a shorten and lengthen line on these pants above. It's in the thigh, mid-thigh, way above the knee. I added 2 inches there, and because these pants finish quite straight down, they don't taper in, I just added to the hem, and you can do that when the pants are totally straight down. When the pants taper in or flare out, you can't do that. But with these you can. So I added 2 up above, 6 down below for a total of 8 inches added. And that's what I needed to get my full length pants. And actually, I think I might want to add half an inch more so that I can have a decent hem of an inch, because I had to do a really tiny hem because I thought I just needed that extra bit length there. You know, these might seem like a lot of adjustments, but they aren't really. The adjustments to the rise, I know I have to do them. They are like, I don't even think about them. It's like the equivalent to me dropping a bust point or dropping the apex on a blouse or a dress or something. I just automatically measure and just lower my darts or lower my princess seams. I don't even think about it because I know that my body usually does need that. For pants, I have a longer than standard rise. I have a pretty long pelvic frame. I am taller usually than what the patterns are drafted for, so I know that it's very rare that I'll find a pant that is just going to fit me straight out of the printer or right out of the envelope. Very rare. And for most of us, you know, it's very rare, and if we do actually have that experience, yeah, we need to hold on to that pattern and just make it like forever. Unfortunately, that has happened to me only a handful of times. It does happen occasionally, but usually you will need to adjust. So I don't see this pant pattern as having needed like so many adjustments, you know. The rise adjustments were a given. I knew they were going to happen. And then tweaking the curves, you know, on the front and the back, very simple to do on the muslin itself. You can just like sew really quickly and try it on. And I did a whole video about scooping and non-scooping and all that. You can see the details there if you want to dive in deeper into the topic. This is how the thumbnail looks. But let's see some sewing. These pants are extremely easy to make, and of course I had to go and complicate things a little bit. Only if you want to, you can make them as is. But I did want to transform the pockets. The pockets are in two pieces, so you have a seam in there. You'll find this in a lot of pants, where you have a piece that goes sewn onto the front, flipped, and then you have a piece that goes at the back, and then you have to unite them inside with a seam. I wanted to transform those two pieces into just one and have them be similar to the Arden pants. Now, I recommend you watch all these videos because there are topics that go repeating and you will see similarities between them, and that just helps you cement these ideas. So I would recommend you watch the Arden pants video as well as this one, and just the whole series in general if you're really motivated and you really want to make pants that fit you. So let's hop into sewing, some pocket aspects, some sewing construction aspects, and then I'll be back to show you them. These are the two pocket pieces that you'll see on these types of pockets. This will be the one that's sewn onto the front leg itself. You'll have that same shape there on the side. You'll sew that, flip that inside. And this one is the one that's going to go on the back, and that will complete the hip area. So when these are sewn, they match. They are the same shape, everything like that. And inside, you would need to sew that like that when the pocket's inside. I want to do it a way like I've seen on other pockets where it's just one piece and then this bit is just folded inside and you don't have a seam there. I think it feels super nice, it feels smooth, it's less bulky, and most importantly, it's going to prevent you seeing that seam from the outside. Sometimes you can see the outline of that seam through your pants. So it's super simple. All you need to do, they are the same shape and size and everything, it's just that this one has the cutout there for the pocket entrance, the other one doesn't. Just put them together and stick them together right on the edge. Okay, so I've stuck them together, but I don't need to have a seam there. And now at the bottom we have this weird little shape. I just want to smooth it out. I don't really want that shape. All you need to do is put a paper on the back to fill in the gap a little bit, and I'll just sort of curve it out like that and just even it out. Okay, so this is going to be my final pocket piece. I just filled it out with paper a little bit there. I don't mind having that gap there because it doesn't matter. There will be fabric there. And on the inside, the pocket will look like that, and this will be a fold, not a seam. Okay, so I have a little piece left. I'm sure I can get a cami top from there. I don't want to use that to cut out my pocket. So I've done what I did to the Arden pants to just use less of this fabric and more lining fabric. This is my pocket piece. This is going to be the hip area, and I've just folded this back, marked there where this entrance is going to be with the blue line there. And then from there I measured 3/4 of an inch out on that red line there. And that's what I've separated. I want this piece to be from the main fabric, and then the rest can be from the lining fabric. I put this on fabric there and just added 3/8 seam allowance around there. And then I got this one, cut it out from this one, added 3/8 seam allowance right there. So essentially added 3/8 here, added 3/8 there, to here and there. When I sew these together on that curve, I'm going to have the same original piece, and I'll make sure that, you know, this area that will be seen in the entrance is going to be main fabric. It's only going to take up this little bit, and I can save this whole chunk here for a garment instead of using it on a pocket. Okay, here I have the pocket pieces. I have just pinned on this little bit that's going to be seen, you know, on the hip area. This is the right side of the fabric, this is the wrong side of the fabric, and from the lining, this is actually the wrong side of the lining. It's what's going to be inside. This specific lining, this non-shiny area, is not that soft. It's a little bit harsh, but the other side, it's like satin. It's very soft. This is the layer I want touching my legs. So when you want to pin this to this, if you want to do the same thing I'm doing, which is have the pretty side of your lining seen on the inside, you would pin right side of the main fabric to wrong side of the lining fabric. I've done that. And then when this is sewn, you're going to have nice lining fabric and the ugly side of the main fabric. Sewing anything that's got a curve is always a little bit trickier than sewing just a straight seam, so just be careful. What's important to check, especially on the underside that you weren't seeing, is that there's no puckers there, but it's all nice and even. And you know, using a small seam allowance makes these seams easier to do. Don't use a 5/8 seam allowance, then it'll be way harder. These are the front legs there. These are the pocket entrances right there, and I'm going to put this on the screen so you can see. This is the right side of the fabric of the legs. What you're seeing up here is the right side of the lining. So we basically have wrong side of the lining to right side of the fabric to align them to this curve there on the pocket entrance. What you have here is the wrong side of this little piece I'm going to sew. So I have the wrong side of this little piece, the right side of the lining. So these were sewn together, right sides to wrong sides. You can tell this is the wrong side because it doesn't shine. And you know, if you follow and do this, it'll work. You have the right sides of the fabrics where they need to be and the wrong sides where they need to be. Here's one of the legs. The pocket has been flipped inside, top stitched, under stitched, all that. And now this has to just be folded onto itself. These two onto themselves there, and then you just match this up at the hip and serge and sew them. And then you just baste the hip together there, and then on the top baste this down so it won't move anywhere. And you can see that on the right side, all you see is main fabric. You don't see the lining bits in there. That's been sewn and serged. This long tail I left there, I'm just going to use a huge needle, thread it through, and then just push it back in there so it's nice and neat. And then I can just match up the sides here on the hip, and then the top, baste it together, and then I can forget about the pockets because they're done, and I can just go on and make the pants. And now at the hip, making sure this seam is going down because that's how I want it to be. So pockets are done. This is how it looks on the inside. The bag is there, the shiny soft side to touch my leg. This is the fold that I've got here. This is what I wanted to achieve, to not have an extra seam there. This is the main piece. The seam allowance is pressed that way. It's nice and flat. When you flip this to the right side, here is the pocket entrance, top stitch there. You peek in there and you have the lining fabric, and that piece is the important one that needs to be from the main. Very happy. Now it's just assembling the legs. This pattern has my favorite type of method, which is just putting the back leg on top of this front leg, sewing the side seams, sewing the inseams, and then turning one of the completed legs inside out and then putting it inside and then sewing the crotch in one go. That is my preferred way. This is how that's going to be done. Super easy. I have 2 pant legs. Side seams and inseams have been sewn, serged, pressed. So this one is wrong sides out. On the other leg, I've flipped it so it's right side out. That's the right side of the fabric here. This is the wrong side of the fabric. And we have the crotch curve here. That's the front, and it goes to the back. And now this leg that has been turned right sides out just needs to be slid inside there. When you slide one leg inside the other, you have the inseams here, and you have right sides together. So there's a seam there, there's a seam there. This is the back crotch there, the front goes over there. So it'll be just one continuous seam, like a U shape, uniting the front and the back, and the inseams have to match there, sort of around this area. So sew and serge, and then it's done. This is just so easy, the best way. I like this way of putting pants together. It just makes so much sense to me. I have sewn the crotch curves front and back together, but with the serger first. I just found that easier. So that is the front going there. This is where the inseam meets there. You can see I've got fabrics right side together, and then we go to the back crotch curve, and it will be sewn all in one continuous go at 3/8 seam allowance. So the top edge here looks really wide, and that's because this will be the elastic casing. This doesn't have a separate waistband. I have serged the raw areas. This is the width of the elastic I'll be using, and I'll be folding it under just enough to get the elastic through. The instructions had you do your elastic on the round, finish the ends, and then quarter it to the waistband, and then go stretching the elastic and sewing on the edge at the same time. I have done that in the past, but I find that the bulk that it creates on the edge really irritates my skin, so I'd rather not do that. And I'll just fold this and create a casing, sew all the way around, leaving a little opening to put the elastic through, and just do it like usual. You can see that this construction method of pants is super simple. I made the little diagrams for you. I actually made them myself. I didn't copy them from anywhere. I made them on Canva. That was a lot of fun to do. And you know, you saw the steps were very simple. Sew side seams, sew the inseams on one leg, sew them on the other leg. You have 2 separate legs, put one inside the other, sew all the crotch curve in one go, turn them right sides out, and then you have, depending on the pattern, you might have a separate waistband, like with iron pants, or with this one you just fold under and you have a casing. So very, very easy. It's a pleasure to sew these types of pants, because yeah, the only thing that took a little bit longer was making the pockets, and only because I went through the trouble of piecing them and all that. But if you have like a lot of fabric to spare, you can just go ahead and make your pockets out of the same fabric. You don't need to divide the pocket into pieces like I did. You don't need to get your 2 pocket pieces and turn them into one either. I just like that. And I think I'll do that with every single pattern that has 2 pieces, because it's so much better. And you'll find a lot of patterns that have the just one piece, like these, like the iron pants. So you can transform them and change them. And I do really like that fold inside that you can't feel the seam. I chose a crepe that I'd sort of chosen for something else. My plans are very, very, in stone. So this is a lovely bubble crepe. It is a medium weight crepe, I think appropriate for bottoms. It's not sheer at all. I can wear them and not show my legs or my undies. I think a bubble crepe that is in a lighter color would be transparent. I mean, you would see something, but because this is dark, you can't. So I can be safe. The fact that you just fold under the casing with this means that you're folding under part of the pocket too. So the pocket was finished up on the top, and it gets folded down, and it's sort of included in the casing. So you can see the pocket entrance there, and it's been folded pocket entrance has the main fabric and then the black inside. This is the ugly part of the fabric. This particular fabric is sort of harsh on this side that doesn't shine. And then on the inside you have the satin, and it's so soft against the skin. And this area here doesn't have a seam, it just has a fold. So it's so soft on the skin, and it won't show on the right side, you know, the bulk of the seam. Sometimes you can sort of see the outline of those seams on pants, and that really disturbs me every single time. So I think transforming the pockets into just one piece avoids that seam. I think it's a good idea. I also top stitched down the elastic, as I will always, because my elastic is not that great. So very nice, comfy. When this is fully stretched, I can pull it up over my hips, no problem, because it measures what my hips measure, and then it just brings it in with the elastic. And then very simple wide legs, nothing special. This is my pretty inside with my lining fabric, and you can see the piece of the main fabric that is the area that you can see. This saves so much fabric. I mean, it really hurts my heart to use such a large pocket piece of my main fabric when I can get a cami top. And I won't wear the cami top with the pants, but I like the fabric, so I could have like a separate. And I really enjoyed making them, so let's see how they fit. These are different type of pants, very wide leg while still being sort of okay with the ease around the hips. Way super comfy with the elastic, and they are very long. I needed to add a lot of length to these to get them to hit full length for me. I love these, very flowy, and I love this fabric, this print. These have got to be the easiest pants to make. There's no waistband, and the casing is just made by folding this under and putting the elastic in there. It is also top stitched. I'll just do like a half tuck there to show you the pockets. It is a print, you can't see it. Here is the pocket entrance and the main fabric there, and then inside is the black lining fabric. Feels very soft. The pockets are quite deep, quite big. I'm never going to use them, but they are there, and I can like rest my hands in them. No pockets at the back because there's a print. I don't really see the point in putting pockets there. You can't see them. And I think the fit is super good at the back. It's always easier to get a good fit with wide leg pants. They just drape over the bottom there. And I like how they look at the back. Very happy with these. After doing some tweaking, I think any pattern can work for you. So I would make these definitely in lighter weight drapey fabrics. I don't think I would choose a linen for this, because then the wide legs would be just too dramatic. Rayon twill, 100% rayon, a crepe. I think those are the fabrics I would like for this wider leg style like this. Hope this video was helpful. I have a couple more videos about pants coming up, and it'll be just a week-long finale type to the Let's Sew Easy Pants series. And I'm really enjoying making the real thing. Let me know what you are up to with your pant making. I hope you're having as much fun as I am, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.